This is Gillfillan for Seconds Out. We are in Sheffield for the final press conference at Leigh Wood versus Josh Warrington. It's a pleasure to be joined by the one half of the main event, Josh Warrington. Josh, you've been in some huge fights throughout your career, some huge domestic fights. Where does this one compare? We're only a few days out now.
Yeah, it's a good fight. It's a good fight. I've had a fair few domestic fights throughout the years. We'll have to see after Saturday how it compares to some of the others. Obviously, like Gillfillan, Leigh, but they were fight of the years, fights of the year, kind of fights. So build-up's been pretty amicable. What's on the line is massive, but yeah, we'll see on after Saturday.
You mentioned there the build-up has been very amicable. I watched the face-off and you described it at one point as being like a dating show. Does that make it more difficult when you're in with a fella you like, you've respect for, or are you able just to sort of switch the business head on?
Not always, no difference whatsoever. I think, I boxed Lee Selby, it was fiery, we had a brilliant fight. I boxed Gillfillan, it was amicable, shake of the hands, and we had a fight a year, so yeah, it doesn't really matter to me.
It's an opportunity for you to become a three-time world champion on Saturday night. Just how, taking back to the Lopez loss, obviously a very close fight, the fight that's aged well, but at that stage, after that fight, obviously a very low moment for it. Did you think you'd be in with an opportunity to win the world title again, and quite a short turnaround?
Well, say a short turnaround. I feel like it's been a long-term month. But yeah, I did think I'd get to the opportunity, like you say. I didn't get chinned, like they say. I believed I won the fight. Lost on a majority decision, so I did think that I'd be back straight away, but I didn't think I'd have to wait like as long as 10 months.
On to Leigh. Now, he's made no secret of the fact that he's wanted to fight with yourself for years. Obviously, back then your careers were in sort of very different trajectories. At the present moment, he's going in there as a betting favourite against you, which I think if you told boxing fans a couple of years ago, there'd be a few eyebrows raised. Just what do you make of the sort of resurgence of Leigh's career over the past couple of years, going from sort of fringe British level to, in some people's opinion, the number one featherweight in the division?
He's done all right. He can't argue with the fact of the win against Ladd that he's had, and the win against Conlon, but maybe win against Shu. But I think the whole resurgence started from myself. Lara become a star because he knocked me out when I was world number one, and then Leigh had obviously two big fights with him, and obviously won the last one, and that's what's put him in that position. But you can't say beating Michael Conlon and beating Kanju is put him as number one. So yeah, he's had a good run, and obviously thanking his lucky stars for opportunities. But it's all started with me, and it's going to end with me.
What did you make of those two fights against Lara? Obviously, the first one he was boxing quite well in many people's opinion, well up in the scorecards, and then obviously was stopped. And then the second fight, Lara's come in at sort of 4 pounds overweight, didn't look himself, and Leigh, to be fair to him, boxed his way to a decision. Just based on your experience in the ring with Mauricio Lara, what did you take from Leigh's two fights against him?
I've looked at it and watched it and thought that's what I should have done. I should have been a bit more clinical, a bit more boxing about me. I thought he boxed well. I actually said to Eddie, we were sat ringside watching the first fight, and actually turned around and said to him, I guess we're going to the city ground, because that's all that was going to happen. We was going to go to the city ground after that. And I thought that he was cruising. But yeah, it's boxing, isn't it? He switched off for 1 second and he lost the fight.
I remember a quote you said to me at the launch press conference this night, that Mauricio Lara wasn't wearing Gucci when you fought him. Do you think it was the same version of Lara, that particularly in the second fight, that shared the ring with yourself?
In the second fight, I don't know. I think his head went on races. I did a little there. Obviously, the situation with the weight, missing the final check weigh-in, and then not being able to put on so much. Just being champion, I don't know. It just seemed like he won himself.
Just back onto yourself, Josh, now again, going back to that face-off, you said you still feel as if you're very much in your prime. Now, there is a narrative emerging amongst some fans and pundits that your best days are maybe behind you. Where do you think that stems from?
Because I'm in the last fight. Just because I didn't start as vicious as I normally do. I was very reserved, and I took a lot of clean punches in the first 4, 5, 6 rounds without response. But they forget that I absolutely dominated Kiko Martinez, who just knocked out Kigellad to become world champion again. So, like I did that more or less in second gear. So, people are quickly to forget your wins at times and where you are and just going off the last fight.
Just back to the Lopez fight. You obviously, as you say, you came on like a house on fire down the stretch at one point. Looked as if Lopez might not be too far away from getting stopped, but he got off to a very good start, picked up a lot of the early rounds. Is that key for you in this fight, to not allow Leigh to get into a groove and get into his boxing so you can, you don't have to come on so strong down the stretch?
Don't want to give too much away, but obviously I like to dominate a fight from round 1 to round 12, so looking to me do similar to what I'm saying there.
Last thing I want to talk to you about, Josh, is the weight, and more specifically Leigh at the weight. Now, the weigh-in for the last Lara fight, I was there. I wouldn't like to have been doing what Leigh was doing. I've seen in the build-up, you've said, I've heard rumblings, you might be a bit tight at the weight. Do you think Leigh might be struggling a bit at featherweight? He said he wouldn't be opposed to a move up to super feather after this.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into your 30s, it does get a little bit harder, I'll say it's a piece of piss for me, but I do it comfortably. Got to work at it, but I've got to do it. But yeah, I've heard rumours. I've seen the changes in his face already. When we first had the initial press launch, he looks healthy, and then a few weeks back when we were in London doing a bit of media, his face didn't look healthy. So, I think in an high-paced, high-tempo fight, that could have a detriment effect to him.
Very last one from me, Josh. Going to be a crazy atmosphere in there. A lot of leads travelling with you, as they always do. Just a final message to those fans and a final prediction for the fight Saturday night.
For those who are travelling, thank you very much for the support as always. Make the noise. The see yous after and the new.
Josh Warrington, thanks very much.
Nice one.